Change the title. Okay. How do I get there? Here. Change the title. Analytics. There we go. What should I name it? Do like how do you do that one? Oh, I did it. And then it asked me if it's kodomo muke, and I'm gonna say no. Or maybe I'll say yes. What does this say? Okay, I'll just do no then. Alright. Everything is set up. So yeah, I'm just probably gonna do, or how should I start this? I figured I'd just make another one of these. I made one about last week, just kind of did a live stream, and I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think much would come out of it, but surprisingly enough, a lot of people actually commented, and a lot of people seemed to watch it and seemed to even like it, for that matter. So I was really happy with the outcome, despite it just being me basically just, talking and not really having much up on the screen and all that. A lot of people actually commented and, told me how it like even motivated them and it helped them out, and it was interesting to watch. So I was really surprised, but very happy to hear that. So figured I'd make another one. I'm probably, if I do continue making these, it'll probably be in this format, just kind of like a live stream, because it's much more lax. If I end up recording it, I have a feeling that I'll just leave it on my computer somewhere and I'll probably never upload it. Or if I do, maybe I'll private it, and like if I do it like this, the chances of it being public are just way higher. And another thing is, like, making these are actually really good for me, I feel like, because it keeps me accountable for things, and it keeps like the whole like idea of studying Japanese and like having that as like a major priority, still in like the top of my head, because a lot of time when you've been doing it for so long, it's like it just kind of becomes, because like I'm never gonna stop doing what I'm doing, but there are a lot of times whenever I'll like not really push myself, like for me, pushing myself might be like, reading an hour a day, which I'll get on to that later, but reading an hour a day, or just any reading whatsoever, because reading is something I don't do that much, or even just watching something that like is above my level a little bit. I mean, there are more things, but just in general, like doing things that push myself, I can not really do that often if I don't have it as like a priority or like on the top of my head. So yeah, making these videos kind of helps, because it reminds me that like this is something that I'm trying to continue and pursue and get even better. I'm not trying to be complacent with where I'm at right now. So anyways, that's why I'm making another one of these. If anyone happens to watch while it's still live, I have the chat pulled up on another screen, so if you ever want to say anything or ask any questions, just leave a message and I'll respond as soon as it comes up on my screen. I don't know how long this is going to be, The last one turned out to be pretty long. It was like over 40 minutes. And it was just because I was like speaking. Probably be the same this time, to be honest. As long as nothing kind of gets in the way. Probably just make it, you know. Again, it's more like a ramble, but there are some, I guess, important stuff hidden within. But yeah, so what do I want to center this around? So for starters, like I have in the title, I stopped using Anki, and I stopped using it about a week ago, and I haven't touched it since then, and I don't plan on touching it maybe forever. I'm not so sure. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing, but I mean, like, right now, if I had to say, it probably is going to be, or that's what I'm planning on. But yeah, so I stopped using Anki, and the reason why is on the last live stream video thing that I made, I had a comment from this guy named Victor, and we ended up talking and actually becoming like friends to an extent. He stopped talking to me now because we had a little disagreement, I guess, and I don't know. He just like, whatever. We're not really talking that much, but maybe you're watching this video now, Victor. If so, if nothing else, I definitely appreciate the fact that you inspired me to do this. Essentially, stopping Anki was mainly due to him, because basically he commented on a video, just saying, like, nice video, all that. And I was like, thanks, if you ever want to talk to me. Oh yeah, he was like saying that he was like in a similar boat, so I was like, oh cool. If you ever want to talk to me, here's my Discord, which, by the way, if anyone's watching, if you want to talk to me, I'll just leave my Discord in the description below, whether you just want to be friends or maybe we could talk and motivate each other about the process. I'm not one of those like really stingy kind of age-outers who's like not gonna make friends because he puts immersion above everything. I am still like somewhat strict, but like I understand the importance of having someone there to like motivate you and whatnot. So anyways, yeah, that's that. But yeah, so we talked and got along really well, and he was telling me how he pretty much never did Anki from the start. Like, he did a little bit in the very beginning, like very, very beginning, but after that, he said that he realized how, like, I guess negative it was, how almost addicting it was, and kind of like the trap a lot of people were falling in, and he just stopped, and he never used it then, or he never used it since. And his Japanese is pretty good for where he's at. So, I mean, it just kind of goes to show that as much as us as like people who do AJAT or MIA think that Anki is this crazy important thing, it's really not. It, like, I don't feel like, okay, I know Matt has talked about this in the past, and he's even said himself that basically in the beginning it's he used a certain terminology for it, which is really good, but I can't remember it. It's off the tip of my tongue. But basically in the very beginning, it's very good. It helps you improve at a rapid pace, and it's really good in the beginning for building kind of a base. But after that, it basically becomes a chore. It becomes more and more tedious, and the benefits are less and less, essentially. And I mean, that's very true, especially when you've been doing it for a while, especially when you're someone who has used Anki for like over 2 years, like I'd used Anki. I've been using Anki for like 2.5, maybe even, I don't know about 3 years, maybe around like 2.5 years. Maybe a little closer to 3 years. I don't know. I started using Anki basically as soon as I found out about AJAT. As soon as I read the articles, that's when I downloaded it, set everything up. When you've been using Anki for a long time, it really becomes an addiction. Like, you get to a point where you really do think that if you don't use Anki, you're not going to be able, you're not learning. Like, that's what it feels like. It's like, okay, you're not using Anki, well, you're not really learning Japanese then, you're just watching anime, which is not the case at all. If anything, it's the exact opposite. And like, considering this whole approach is based off of immersion, and like the philosophy behind it is basically, you know, the more you immerse, the more you get better, the more you improve, all that. Considering that's the philosophy, it actually makes no sense that we would think otherwise. That we would think that some program is what's determining whether or not we're getting better or not, which isn't the case. And the only reason we really feel like that is because we have things like, you know, heat map on Anki, right? The add-on, and also our statistics and all that. And it's like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if this is like a universal thing, or maybe it's just me, but basically you just look at the statistics and you can see yourself, you know, even if it's at a slow pace, you're still learning words. And in that sense, it feels like, because it's on the screen, because you can see it, because it's right in front of you, you feel like you're gaining more from it. Oh, I got a comment. It says, hello, I'm June. Oh. But anyways, let me get back to my topic. I think this is my friend, because I sent him a link of a video I sent him earlier. But okay, cool. Yeah, it is. This is my Japanese friend June. Maybe one day I will make a live stream and have and we could both be on there. We would be like speaking half Japanese, half English. But let me just send him a message real quick. Okay, anyways, yeah, it basically becomes like this, it's like a necessity, right? You're using Anki to learn Japanese, and if you're not using it, then you're not learning. And that's how it feels. It feels like anything you don't put into Anki is like something that you're going to forget, when in reality that's not the case, obviously. But like, this becomes like a serious issue once you've been doing it for a while, because it's like one of those things where it would put me in a slump every time, because I got to the point, and for a long time now, I only spend like maybe 30 minutes a day on Anki. And that to me felt like awful. Because it feels like, okay, I'm only spending 30 minutes a day actively studying Japanese. But in reality, I was still watching anime. I was still, you know, watching dramas, maybe reading every once in a while. Not really books, but just stuff like online. But I was still immersing, you know what I mean? And I was immersing way more than I was doing Anki. I was doing it, you know, at least a few hours, but probably like 4 to 5 hours on average a day, at least. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that in and of itself is plenty enough for you to improve and get better. And yet, when you're only doing, or when I was only doing a little bit of Anki, made me feel like shit. Made me feel like, oh, well, I'm not getting better, and I'm only doing this much and all that. And so then I tried to do more, but it's like, for me, Anki was always just this super tedious thing. Like, adding cards, and like, adding cards wasn't even the tedious part, to be honest. Adding cards was pretty fun, because I could like look through definitions, and sometimes I'd even learn words, you know, unintentionally just by reading the definitions. In fact, that happened quite often. And reading definitions isn't necessarily that boring, at least to me. The really boring part was just repping it. And you'd think it'd be the opposite, because it's like, repping your card, the way Matt put it was like, repping your deck is basically like looking through your portfolio or whatever, like your art portfolio. And that is true to an extent, but for me it was like, so boring and tedious. Like, I just wanted to be over with it as soon as possible. I mean, like, there were some things that made it a little bit better. Like audio cards. Okay, so that was another thing. When I made that last video, someone commented and mentioned anime cards, which is like this website, or it's like this tutorial on basically how to make like what they claim to be the best sentence cards, like the best type of cards to make for learning Japanese. And they label them as audio cards or anime cards. And I mean, it's essentially just an audio card, but I mean, they're very high quality cards. And when I saw that, so when I made the last video, I was already thinking about quitting Anki. That was part of the reason why talking to Victor was, like, I was already on like the last straw, right? So talking to Victor basically just kind of, you know, made it set in stone. Like, okay, yeah, now I can justify quitting, because clearly, I mean, he's saying it too, and oh, sorry, I hit the mic right there. He's saying it too, and I mean, it makes sense when you really think about it, especially considering it's like, it's not worth the effort, you know what I mean? Because it takes effort to make cards and do your reps and all that, and when you could be spending that doing something else, like more immersion, it's just not worth it. So anyways, but yeah, I was like on the brink of quitting Anki already by the time I made that video. And then, yeah, someone commented about the audio cards thing. I read the entire, I don't know if you want to call it a blog or tutorial or whatever about how to make these super high quality audio cards, sentence cards. I read it, and like everything sounded good and all, but in practicality, I mean, making the cards took so much effort, because basically it relies completely on Yomi-chan, which is like this add-on most of you guys probably know. It's this add-on for your browser, which means anytime you want to make one of those high quality cards that are totally worth repping, you basically have to have everything that you need in order to make the card inside the browser, right? So like, let's say you just casually want to watch an episode of anime. Well, you have to open it up through the browser, which means you have to go and find like one of those websites where you can have, and also you have to have the subtitles, because if you don't have the subtitles, then unless you want to type it out by hand, which that also takes a ton of work, if you don't have the subtitles, you basically have to type it out by hand in order to get the exact sentence. But yeah, you'd have to get one of those websites where you basically drag and drop the file of the anime or whatever medium, and then the corresponding subtitle file, and basically it like overlays the subtitle over the video, and you can like copy and paste it because it's in the browser. Because you can do that, you can use Yomi-chan, you can automatically add cards to Anki and all that. And again, it's one of those things where it seems really good in practice, or it seems really good in theory, but when you try it in practice, it's like so much effort and so much work. And so, but I spent like an entire night setting that up, and I got everything set up. I downloaded all the programs, and but again, like I said, it's like, it's so much extra fucking work to sit there and try and get the exact, and that's another thing, is that even if you do have the subtitle file, 99% of the time the subtitle file is not going to be completely matched, like completely synced with the anime file. And yeah, you can fix that, but that's even more work, you know what I mean? It's like all this work to make one sentence card, or maybe a few, because it's not going to be like a bajillion sentence cards from one episode of anime. Not at my level, at least. It's probably going to be, at the very best, maybe a few good ones, and maybe like a couple mediocre ones, if even that, right? And that's just so much effort to do that. So I tried that, realized that it was basically impractical and wasn't going to work out that well. So then I stopped. And then at that point, I was talking to Victor, and Victor kind of sealed the deal for me and convinced me that I didn't really need it, and kind of got me thinking about it. And once I started thinking about it, I basically just realized it was not in my best interest. So what is the effect that stopping Anki has had on me? And to tell you the truth, it's only benefited me. And I'm not just saying that because that's what I want to hear. Like, it literally has. doing Anki didn't really benefit me. It was literally just continuing repping the same things I've made like a year or 2 years ago or whatever, and making a couple of cards a day some days, and another day like 15 cards a day, and it was a lot of effort and very little like real progression at the end of the day. And I also told myself that when I stopped doing Anki, or if I was going to stop doing Anki, it was not going to be like, okay, I'm just going to stop doing Anki and become complacent with doing nothing. Like, I stopped doing Anki and then replace it with something. And what I ended up replacing it with was reading, because that's like one of those places that I've been trying to get better at. So I replaced doing Anki with basically reading an hour every day, and that helped incredibly. And it's doing a lot of help. Now I take a book with me every day when I go to work, and so a lot of the times I'll ride to work like an hour or maybe half an hour early, and then I'll just sit outside, or I'll sit in the break room and I'll just kind of read my book, get a ton of immersion, and then when I go on break, I'll read some more, and then maybe sometimes even when I'm off, I read a little bit, and then I read at home, and I read, I'll go to like Starbucks and I'll go read. So, I mean, that's something that before quitting Anki, and it's not like I couldn't have done before quitting Anki, but quitting Anki just kind of made it more relevant to me, I guess. I don't know. But reading has done a great deal. And I post all this stuff on my Twitter. That's another thing I guess I'll leave in the description. If you want to follow my Twitter, I post like a bunch of random shit, but yeah, I mean, I post like updates about how, what I'm doing and stuff that I'm watching and all that. But ooh, excuse me, it is hot in here. So I'm turning my air conditioner off because I don't want it to be too loud because it makes a lot of ambient noise. But I live in Florida and it's like 90 degrees outside right now. It's summer, so yeah, it fucking sucks. But I'll make it. But yeah, anyways, it's doing me a lot of good, and I plan on continuing. I mean, I'm not going to download Anki again. I deleted, I made a copy of one of my decks just in case, but that was like the sentence deck that I had, which only had 1,500 cards, which I don't think is that much, but to be honest, I couldn't delete it. I just couldn't. It's too precious for me. Even if I don't plan on doing Anki anytime soon, or maybe ever, I still just can't delete my sentence deck, because it's like, I spent so much time making that. So, but other than that, I deleted every other deck that I had. So that's the only deck I can really go back to, even if I did want to. But I don't plan on going back, and yeah, so that's update number 1. There's probably more I could say. Oh yeah, I guess I'll just say a little bit. So like, once I very first stopped doing Anki, and even up until now, because I still do it now, but it still feels really weird. Like, I'm not gonna lie, because now that I'm not doing Anki, part of not doing Anki is like not really looking words up that much, right? Like, yeah, you still look up words, but not that much, because most of the reason why I looked up words before was because I could add them to Anki, right? But now I don't really look up the words because I'm not adding it to Anki. But yeah, I mean, you're still learning the words, you're just not looking them up every time. You're just learning them through context and through immersion. But it's definitely awkward. You can see the little thing on the bottom of my screen. I don't know why I've been rewatching Hajime no Ippo. I just have it up on the screen right now because I was just watching it. I actually just posted like a little clip from this episode 5. It's pretty funny if you want to go watch it. It's like 50 seconds. Hajime no Ippo is like also one of those amazing animes. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. I'm rewatching it. It's probably like my second time. I've been rewatching a lot of anime recently. I'm not gonna lie. Even in the last video, I was rewatching Orange Road, which is something I've watched like 4 times or something. But I am watching some new anime. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Point is, it definitely feels a little weird not doing Anki at first. Like if you're like me and you had done Anki for a long time, even if you'd only done Anki for like a year or even less, if you just kind of like take it out of your life all of a sudden, it definitely feels weird. You know what I mean? So that's something that will definitely take some getting used to. But after a while, I mean, it's not that bad. Like it kind of, like before when I was reading a book, and this is probably most of the reason why I didn't really read, especially when I like didn't really read, because I have a lot of, I bought, not recently, but a while ago, I bought like $500 worth of Japanese books. I bought like a shit ton of Japanese books, and I still have them. I have every single one of them. But most of the reason why I didn't read a lot of the novels, I read all the manga, and I read a couple of the novels. But the reason why I didn't read like all of the novels, or didn't even try, is just because like the notion that Anki gives off, which is basically, well, if you're reading something, you have to, or you want to look up these words and add them to your Anki deck, because if you don't, you're never going to learn them. And that's just not true. Like, no matter what way you look at it, it's just not true. And it'll never be true. And it's just a phenomenon that happens, I guess, when you rely on Anki for everything. So, but yeah, like that doesn't happen to me now, because now I'm actually content with just reading. Like I can read and not know, 3 words on a single page, which happens a lot. You know what I mean? Like because reading is much more difficult. Or like, for me at least, because, I mostly did listening from the very beginning. So like reading, I mean, in one sense it's like easier, obviously, because, I can go at my own pace. A lot of the words, once, you have the time to look at it, but it's not really, like how maybe Matt describes it, where your reading ability should be like way above your listening. For me, it's definitely not way above. But anyways, yeah, like I could have 3 words on a single page that I don't know, and I can be content with, not knowing any of them. Or, I can be content with just, reading past. Like, I'm not content with not knowing, but I'm content with not, having that urge to just look it up in that moment and make an Anki card, because that's what really stops you from reading, and that's what stops you from doing, that's what makes it something that's uncomfortable for you. And why would you want to do something that's uncomfortable, right? And that's why you don't do it. And this is kind of like the real AJAT philosophy, right? Not so much the MIA philosophy, but the AJAT philosophy is more so like, okay, well, do what you like doing, because that's what you're going to do anyways, right? And just see if you can turn that into Japanese in some way, and all that. Like that's that philosophy. I feel like once you get into MIA a little bit, I know I'm going on like I'm kind of like getting off topic again, but once you go into MIA, it's more like, okay, we'll just do this arbitrary thing because it's supposed to make you better, even though you don't know really why most of the time if you're a beginner. And just follow it because it's going to give you results, and it really doesn't have to do with anything that has to do with like willpower or motivation or what's fun or not. So yeah, I feel like if I would have just followed the kind of AJAT method, but then again, AJAT also promotes, the 10,000 sentences and all that, but yeah, I don't know really where I'm trying to get with this. But if I can inspire some of you, if anyone's out there and you were like me and, you were maybe just doing Anki is tedious for you, then just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's really that simple. Like, a lot of people, and okay, so like Victor, when I was talking to Victor, he said that people would shit talk him all the time for not doing Anki. They're like, oh, you're learning Japanese and you're not doing Anki. And it's something that I can actually imagine. Like, I can see that happening, because a lot of people in MIA or even AJAI community, it's like, they see someone that's claiming they're studying Japanese and they've been doing it for this long or anything like that, and they don't do any Anki, and all they do is immerse. And their first reaction is like, well, that's like against the norm, right? Because everyone else is doing Anki, so you should be doing it too. When again, that's not the case. And like, once you get to, how do I put this? Or like, again, like the main thing is immersion. That's always going to be anything else. Literally anything else. So everything else is just kind of like a little side project, or like a little, you know, it might be helping you improve, but it's not like the main thing. And that's the thing with immersion too. It's very difficult to see your improvement and your growth like in real time, or even like, you know, spread out, like even like in a week's worth of time. It's very difficult to tell like, have I gotten better? Have I, you know, just plateaued, or like what, you know? But with Anki or whatever, you do Anki, let's say you're studying a deck and you're doing 15 new cards a day and all that. Well, there's statistics right in front of you, so it definitely makes you feel better. But again, it's not, Anki is not like the end in itself, you know? Yeah, so that's that. What else? Updates. Okay, like I guess more of a personal life update. So I mentioned in like the last one of these is that I plan on going to Japan this summer. In fact, if there weren't any stupid travel restrictions, I'd be in Japan right now. And I'd basically be with like my family and my girlfriend, all that over there. And yeah, I call my girlfriend's family my family because, I mean, they basically treat me like family. So, but they're really good people. But anyways, I'd be there right now. So yeah, I mentioned that in the last video, but as of now, my plan is maybe if I can go this winter, then that's what I'm gonna do. I'll go this winter, and because I still haven't graduated high school and age-wise and all that, I can't move there just yet. But if it turns out. And, you know, if anyone's interested in this stuff, by the way, just let me know. It's just kind of like, I don't want to, it's a little bit embarrassing, I guess, to talk about, like, super personal stuff. But if anyone's, like, interested, I can talk more, because I could talk a lot about this stuff, because it's, like, always in my mind. But basically, the plan is either go on, like, a trip, right, where I'm there for maybe, like, a few weeks, or maybe even longer, like a month and a half or something like that. Or my girlfriend's mom basically adopts me, and then I move there. And if you don't understand why that is, I'm probably not going to get too much into it. It's a little bit complicated. It's more like a personal thing, but like I said, if you're interested, maybe leave a comment or something, and I could talk about that. But if I did end up just going as a trip and I ended up coming back, well, then I'd only come back and stay for like another half a year or 6 months until summer, that upcoming summer, because that's when I'd be, you know, really moving, because I get my full high school diploma. But if I did end up, you know, somehow managing to go and then not come back, right? I could just move there when I went. You'd be like, oh. You know, you might say, oh, well, you still haven't graduated high school, right? But right now, I can graduate. I can graduate right now with the credits that I have. It would just be like a different type of diploma, which I don't really care about, because I plan on basically building myself up, like, when I get to Japan. Like, I basically want to start from zero. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's stupid. Why would you want to start from zero? Well, because once I'm already in Japan, everything is going to be a lot easier. It's not like me trying to apply to a university or get a scholarship to a Japanese university in America. Like, no, I'll be in Japan. You know, I'll be really fucking good at Japanese. And I'm in Japan. That's like the main thing. So it'll be a lot easier. Everything's going to be a lot easier once I'm already there. So that's kind of my plan. So yeah, it's either go in the winter and move in the winter if I can, because if I can, that's what I'm going to do. Or go in the winter, just like visit, you know, stay there for like maybe a month, go back home, and then work, save up money, and then, you know, do the final move that summer of 2021. Because by that time, I'll pretty much be 18 anyways. So, yeah, even if my girlfriend's mom can't adopt me, or if I can't get a visa to work or anything like that, I'm already, like I said, planning on marrying my girlfriend. So once I turn 18, I'll be able to marry my girlfriend, and that's a spousal visa, which is like pretty much one of the best visas that you can get. So that should cause me no problems. But yeah, that's just kind of like a little bit of the personal side of things, how things are going right now, what my plans are. What else is there? Yeah, I mentioned I've been reading a lot recently. I don't really know. See, I know I'm gonna regret if I ended it now, because it's like there's gonna be something else I want to talk about. But I mean, I guess there's no really limit. I can make these things anytime I want. It's just a live stream. I just press a button, it starts, and I'll just go rambling on talking about things. I doubt this one will get as much attention as the last one. I felt like I got really lucky, but if it does end up getting a good amount of attention, then I'd definitely be pretty happy, because like I said, there was a lot of really good comments, and yeah, I got like 11 comments or some shit like that. Or not 11, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 8 or something. One guy even deleted his comment, which I don't know why, but, or maybe it just isn't showing up right now. But all the comments were really nice. People were very generous. They said they liked it. They said it even motivated them, a couple of people. So, but if this video does get a lot of attention, I mean, just let me know if you want to see more. One guy said that he'd actually be interested in seeing like me and my girlfriend speaking Japanese together. So maybe I'll make a video doing that. I'm thinking about it. The only problem that I'd have is because I'd have to like tell her in advance, because like we speak really formal. I mean, she's my girlfriend after all, so we speak very formal. I mean, maybe that's what they want to see, right? It's just that very formal, you know, sono mama. But I don't know, it might just be a little awkward, or not awkward, just like a little embarrassing to kind of like put that on YouTube. But yeah, that's something that I'm planning on doing, hopefully, in the future. But just let me know if you guys are interested, if you enjoy this type of stuff. And yeah, hit me up. Don't be afraid if you want to talk. Like I said, I'm gonna leave my Discord in the description below. I'll be real, I don't really have that many friends. I maybe only have like, I have my girlfriend, which she's like my best friend, and like that's pretty much it in terms of like close friends. So I'm always on the lookout if there's anyone that I can, you know, really anyone that's like Kigao or whatever, I can really connect with. But yeah, I mean, I can't really think about anything else to talk about at the moment. So yeah, I'm just gonna end it here. Yeah, so just leave comments, and I shall see you the next time.